Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is the weekly video games podcast where we give our impressions of the games that you can play today and react to the latest news from the wonderful world of video games. We're here every single Monday on your favourite podcast app and YouTube, absolutely free. Bit of a different intro this time because this is our Fantasy Gaming League draft episode. So I'm conducting a small intro just before we introduce the competitors, which I've recorded earlier on. I'm going to run through the rules very quickly and just set the table so that you guys are aware of what this episode is going to be. Before I make a start on that, I need to let you know about Patreon still. Patreon.com/Idle Game Chat is the place to go if you wish to support us financially. But you sitting there and listening to us really is enough. So only do it if you really want to, I guess, at the end of the day. So we do this every year, the Fantasy Gaming League and the Fantasy Gaming Draft. Here are the rules, really high level. The aim of the game is for the participants to create a 10-game roster that will score well with the critics in 2021. Now, in order to get a game score, we use OpenCritic, and that aggregates all the scores, not all the scores, but it aggregates scores from the top critics and other critics from around the world to provide an overall number. Which will be based on the reviews that have been received and put into their website. Whoever has the highest accumulative score at the end of the season is crowned champion. So 10 games, they'll all have an individual score, add them all up, minus off any transfers, which I'll explain later. That'll be your final score. Whoever's the highest wins it. Easy fucking peasy, innit? Now, we do have two competitions. So firstly, we have what is called the Grand Prix. There are 6 competitors in the Grand Prix. And this year it's Adkins, Hall, Parkey, Logan, Adcock, and the recently relegated Paper. Those are the 6 that will be going into action. The order I just reeled them off is the order in which they get the draft order. So Adkins starts and gets the first pick of the games. It'll work through to Hall, then Parker, then Logan, blah, 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 blah. They have given me a list of games. I've conducted the draft and they all have 10 games each. So there's 60 unique games across the Grand Prix. And that creates a very interesting dynamic. It's an extremely difficult competition to win because it's so competitive. The winner of the Grand Prix goes on to get a shot at the championship at the next year. So whoever out of those 6 finishes top will be moving into the main event, which is the championship game. This is the big one. We've got Biff, who is the reigning champion. He beat Paper last year. So if you've been listening, you know this. And Chappers will be challenging him this year. The 2020 Grand Prix winner. So that's his promotion. Paper relegated out, back in with the Pond Scum. Only the main difference, I guess, between the two competitions is one, the rosters between the Grand Prix and the Championship game are separate. So, for example, God of War Ragnarok can appear once in the Grand Prix and then once in the Championship game. It's not a shared universe, if you will. It's 2 separate competitions. So that's where the unique sort of roster's got to come in. And the 10-game roster that the guys have got to put together, i.e. Biff and Chappers, is only going to be made up of 4 of their own personal picks to start with. The other 6 are selected by the team members that they choose. So 3 team members each. They will each choose 2 games to go on the team. No duplicates allowed, as I mentioned, on the competing rosters. The captains should have no idea what the potential team members are going to pick. These lists have only been shared with me. Now, could there be some tapping up going on behind the scenes? I hope not. I hope everyone's honest enough not to do that, but we'll never know in that particular... I think everyone's pretty honest, so we'll just leave it at that, shall we? And because they have no idea what what someone's going to put on their list. It's not just a judgment of the games themselves and the industry and how games are reviewed, because they've got 4 chances at themselves, but really 6 of their games are going to be picked by other people to start with. So it's a judgment on how well they know the Dimp team members, which gives it an interesting dynamic and, again, very difficult to win. As I mentioned, transfers are allowed throughout the seasons, but only during set windows. Free transfer windows, calendar month of March, calendar month of June, and calendar month of September. This allows any participant to transfer out any unreleased game. So if it scores a 40 and you've got it on your list, you're stuck with it. But if it hasn't come out, hasn't got a score, you feel free to trade it in. The only caveat is that you'll receive a 5-point penalty for that. That's the cost of making a transfer in the Fantasy Gaming League. The Logan rule is in effect, which means we have a predetermined end date. And for season 2021, Friday the 10th of December at 8 p.m, at this time, scores will be tallied and finalised, and that will be it. And it's very important that date, because if there's a score change or a score comes in after that date, it's not counted. And it's had a big effect on the last 2 seasons. Most recently, Chappers had Cyberpunk 2077 in his team. When the season closed on December the 10th last year, all the PC reviews are out. It scored a 91. 7 days later, it had slipped down to a 77, 78, and had that been the case, had the season been carrying on for another week, Adkins would have actually won the Grand Prix. So it's important that the guys look at that date and suss out what's going to come out when. Anyway, you don't need to hear any more from me. I'm going to hand over back to myself, because I'm doing it all as usual. But you're going to get to hear from the competitors. So it's Biff and Chappers. They're going to do the draft live with me, and at the end, I'm going to reel off and give you what the Grand Prix draft is as well. So I have a little discussion on that, but that'll be just me on my own. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here we go then. Let's do the introductions. First of all, the challenger and the reigning Dimp Digital Grand Prix champion. It's the webmaster and iRacing extraordinaire. It's Chappers. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, good. Extraordinaire is probably overly kind for iRacing, but I finish some races every now and again.
Yeah, but you've got a win under your belt.
Yeah, I've not raced since then, actually, so just leaving it as that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah.
Been a while since we've had you on, probably years. I think the last time we had you on was when you was messing around with some Linux-based gaming.
Oh, I weren't sure if it was that or the Civ 6 preview, but both are obviously quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So you're out the frying pan into the fire here.
Not sure what I said, but yeah, it's been a while.
No, but this is obviously big time now. You've made it. Winning that Grand Prix is the route to getting into championship glory. So you're here. You're going to be battling it out. Now we've got the reigning and the defending Dimp Digital Fantasy Gaming League champion, Le Champion, Mark Smith Biff. How does that sound?
I don't know about Le Champion. It reminds me of paper, but yeah, not too bad. Yeah, pretty good, I suppose.
Surely, just being able to have that title and paper can't use it is worth the awkwardness alone.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is worth its weight in gold, knowing that fucking Toad lost that name to me. So yeah, very happy actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to run through the draft and do bits and pieces. Just before we get started, Chappers, you obviously won the Grand Prix. That's why you're here. That's that you've earned your right to take on Biff for the belt. It wasn't without controversy, because
It never is.
Much like Biff last year, you were saved by the Logan rule coming into effect, because Cyberpunk 2077, the season ends, it's on a 91. 6 or 7 days later, it's down to a 78. And had it ended a week later, Mr. Adkins would have been in your chair.
I think the worst thing, if that had happened, is that he would have beaten me with a game that I subbed out.
Yes.
So I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad it ended when it did. Yeah.
Yeah. Immortals Phoenix Rising, which was originally called Gods and Monsters. I mean, that craziness happened. It got renamed. So it's funny how 2 years running, it's kind of bailed someone out and given them the Grand Prix victory, but you still had to get the rest of the team in order. I've got to address one thing. Now, you spent many, many hours building our lovely website and the Fantasy Gaming League tracker. People, I'm not going to name names, but people are saying, has Chappers been setting up the formulas to give himself a few extra points? I mean, do you want to address that here and now, these accusations, and put them to bed? Because you know what people are like. Once rumours start, they catch fire, and then before you know it, you're on a suspension.
Do you know what? I can stick the code on GitHub, and everyone can look through it, and they can see that there's no issues, no adding of points or anything like that. I'll do that in the morning and send it around.
Can't call it fairer than that, can you? I don't know what I'll be looking at. I'll be like, yeah, that looks legit to me. I've got no idea.
Yeah, I mean, you can just double check on OpenCritic, to be fair.
That is very true.
If anyone wants to do that for all 150 games that go through, then feel free.
Please do. And make sure you backdate it to the 10th of December as well, because that's when the season ends, which is crucial for this one. Biff, you've got the championship belt. You're now the big dog. Anything changed in your mentality or approach? You've already been trying the mind games with Chappers saying, I ain't looked at a list yet, doing all this bollocks. So you're already getting into the realm of being a bit paperish. But, I mean, anything else less obvious that you're going to change for your approach? Or is it stick to what you know and carry on as last year and try and be a two-time champ?
Yeah, just again follow the same formula. I think it's going to be a bit more difficult this year because obviously with COVID, a lot of games. I was saying to you earlier, I've been looking at games and there's no date. It just says 2021, so it's like, well, that's like fucking how long's a piece of string. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm just gonna. I've got a feeling that not subbing games out this year will probably win it. If you could, it doesn't. I don't really think you need like an average score as long as you can just. Well, it does obviously, but as you know, if you don't have to sub out 3 or 4 or 5 games, you're going to save yourself 20-30 points there. That could be all the difference because I think it's going to be a bit tighter this year.
Yeah, that's a sound approach. Biff, as your champion, you get to choose the coin type for the toss. So I've got a 5p piece or. I think it's a £1 piece. You know what? I haven't looked at coins in over a year because of this COVID nonsense. I don't be using cash, let alone small change pennies. But you got the choice between 5p and a quid. What should I flip up in the air and risk losing under the desk?
We'll go for a quid.
You fucker. So you're putting more money at risk here. Chappers.
I'm not even sure I could find a coin in my house, in all honesty.
No, I had to go and get them both out of the wallet. Actually, the 5p, I think, is left here from last year. But I wasn't willing to leave a quid here. So maybe I'll just maybe we should do that for next year.
Don't trust the staff.
No, you can't really at this level. Chappers, as your challenger, you get to choose heads or tails. If you win the toss, you can choose between having the first video game pick, or you can choose to have the first team member pick. So it's entirely up to you which you would like to choose, but you need to choose heads or tails to earn that right.
Sure, I'll go for heads. Heads.
Well, Biff goes tails, never fails, so that'd be interesting here. Oh, fucking botched it.
The sound effects are, I'll tell you what, the budget's gone through the roof, isn't it?
Oh, I've knocked my headset off. Disaster start. Right. Tails never fails. Sorry, Chappers. Biff's won it again.
Yes.
So, Biff, you get to choose. Do you want to have the first video game to put on your roster, or do you want the first team member pick?
I'll have the first team member.
Right. So that's a change of approach, because last year you chose the game.
Yeah, but I think, like I said last year, I think Piper didn't want the same person I wanted as my first pick, so I think Chappers might want them this year. I don't know, we'll find out in a bit.
Well, Chappers, that opens the door for you to choose the first video game. So this is the top video game of the year. It's big pressure on this one, to be honest, because if you get this wrong, people start laughing at you because you've had the pick of absolutely everything. But what's going to be your number one pick, Mr. Chappers?
Yeah, this is exactly the position I didn't want to be in, all honesty. He's got me sweating already. I've got one of 3 games, really. And again, it's like what Biff was saying. I have no idea what release dates are going to be, or how many developers will die before they're released and all this. So I'm going to go for God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah, we think it's going to be called that. To be honest, they've not actually said, but that's what they had on the trailer. So we know what you mean. which is important. God of War Ragnarok, number 1 pick. Anything like the last game, it's going to be a big hitter. Biff, I think I heard your heart sink a little bit there, because God of War is not only one of your favourite games, you know full well how important that game can be.
Yeah, if that comes out, you got to think that's probably 90s. I'll be surprised if that got under 90 or 88. So that's a big game straight away. But again, if it comes out, that's the problem with this shitty year.
It does not help. Biff,
Real morale boost for 21.
Well, it's one of those things that I think this year will actually be more affected than last year in many ways, because things aren't as close to the end. Be interesting to see if someone out there, some stat head, can work out how many video games were released in 2020, and at the end of the year tell us in 2021. See if our assumptions are correct. And I know no one will do that, but it's worth it. You never know who's listening. You never know. Biff, what's going to be your number 1 game?
I'm going to go for another PS exclusive. I'm going to go for Horizon Forbidden West.
Yep. I'd say out of the 2, more of a chance. Like that, I'll be happier with that if I was just doing what's going to come out. I feel like
I've seen some gameplay of it, so that
that does help.
Yeah.
You enjoyed the first Horizon game. I guess you're just hoping for better this time around, because it's a sequel for one. They've got their sea legs under them.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. But again, I reckon if it's as good as last time, you're probably looking at an 80, mid-80s, so you can't grumble if you got that.
No, you can't. Chappers, you've missed out on that one. Was that anywhere on your list, anywhere in sight?
It was low. It was bottom half of the list. Only because I very much played from the heart, and I didn't get on with the first one. So I think you're kind of right. It will score well, but just weren't one of my faves.
No. Excellent. So, Biff, you've got the responsibility of picking the first team member, and they will start filling in the rest of your roster. 6 games in total will come from these team members. This is your very first pick. It's always a coveted prize to get, so there's pressure on you from the other Dimp acolytes who want to be number 1. So, Biff, who's going to be the number 1 pick for 2021?
It's, again, the tails that never fails, the Adkins that never loses. I'll have Tom Adkins, not Adcock.
Adkins, it's an amazing stat. We've said it several times, but Adkins has never lost in the team game. He's always been on the winning side, which is insane. Chappers, you've won your fair share as well. Now you've obviously promoted yourself, but I don't know where Adkins was ranking on your list, whether it would have been high up, considering he still hasn't had an L.
Yeah, maybe. I'd like to pretend I've got an order of people I'm going to pick, but I haven't too much. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Yeah, sure. I would pick him. Does that make you feel better? I don't know.
Right. So here's the game he's got you, Biff.
No.
I'll be interested to see how you react to this one. I think on the surface of things, it's not what people are expecting, but I think when you look at the data side of things, it might not be as bad as what you first think. He's going to give you Resident Evil 8 Village.
Okay, I'm quite happy with that, because that was quite high up. That was in my top 5 games. So that's all right.
Wow. I thought that felt like a bit of a weak piss top pick, but that's just me.
Well, I don't know. Well, time will tell, won't it?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen any gameplay of that yet, though.
No, I haven't either. We don't know what's really going on with it, to be honest.
No, but, well, we'll find out. Trust in Adkins. He's never failed, so we'll see what happens.
He hasn't indeed. Chappers, Resident Evil Village, anywhere on your list? Anywhere lurking, or not a fan of the series? I didn't really have it.
I had a look at it, mate, but I'm kind of with loading with the crawlers. I can't be playing that on my own, so it didn't make my list. No.
Binned it off. Well, who's going to be your first team member pick then, Mr. Chappers? You've still got a wide selection, 5 others to choose from. Big names, big personalities. You've got to try and keep them happy. Who's it going to be?
So it would have been my number 1 pick if I had to pick first, and it's my brother from another mother, Hall. So
cool.
He's always done me by picking me quite early, not leaving me on the bench. So yeah, I'm taking Hall. Yeah,
not a terrible pick. He's pretty consistent. He's very motivated to win this because he got embarrassed by Paper. Like I know that really hurt him. So
he tries. I mean, he does put the effort in, which is why I wanted him. I think sometimes he overthinks it, and he goes for games that like no one's heard of, or you know, ones that he played when he was 12 that are being remastered by Nintendo. So I'm a bit worried I'm going to get like freaking 3D Mario as my number one pick.
Oh yeah, that is a concern actually. Well, I mean, we'll see. He's landed you, which I think is a pretty shrewd pick. Disco Elysium: The Final Cut.
Oh man, what?
Happy or not?
Oh, this out.
So this is the console release.
Okay, so but is that actually going to get its own score?
Well,
is the question, right?
that is the question that Open Critic will decide later on down the line. That is the major risk of that is that if it doesn't.
I mean, if it does, it's great because it's like obviously it's like one of my favourite games. So unless they really botch a console release of it, but yeah, I don't know. It kind of feels like my admin era of Pillars of Eternity last year. So yeah, awesome.
Well, let's see if it comes out. It's big scoring. That's the only thing I can say.
I'm quite a big fan of subbing stuff out if it doesn't work. So
true. At
least it's not going to be like a January 3rd release and no score or low score. So yeah, we're all good.
Excellent.
I won't try too hard.
Who's going to be your second pick, Mr. Biff?
I'm going to go for Long Arms Logan.
Jesus.
High scoring game he got me last year.
He did indeed. That is very true.
And the lowest scoring.
Yeah, he did indeed. Yeah, that's not ideal, is it really? When you go, he's a bit inconsistent. Now, I mean, you might not be pleased with this, but I think again, when the scores get counted, it's not going to be too much of a problem. Logan has given you, can you guess?
Championship Manager 2022.
It is Football Manager 2022.
Oh, fucking hell, loading.
Well,
I don't know how they score, to be honest. Do they do well or not?
85, 88, I think I've seen them come out as. So.
Oh, well done, loading. Well done, that'll do. That'll do, pig, that'll do.
It feels cheap. That was his third pick. So he'd already put God of War and Horizon in, and that was number 3. So he ran out of ideas pretty quick, it seems.
I was going to say.
to resort to that. So, Chappers, you haven't got Logan, you haven't got Football Manager. Any sighs of relief or frustrations with that?
Yeah, I'm pretty... I'm never a fan of seeing that one go through the scraper, in all honesty, so I'm glad we didn't get that one.
Fair enough. Your second team member pick, please, Mr. Chappers.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for my ex-Westcliff rugby teammate / ex-Le Champion Piper.
Mr. Paper, given a reprieve.
Even though he left me on the shelf, I'm taking Piper.
He did, didn't he?
Everyone left me on the shelf, to be fair, but yeah.
Well, that's kind of what wins people it, because it seems like if you get picked last, you end up winning the title. So
you'll have your work cut out with Hall and Paper.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, they're going to go well together. The team chemistry is going to be through the roof. But
Paper has landed you Persona 5 Strikers.
Okay.
I feel like
is that the football game?
No, it's like
Persona 5 done really well last year.
It did, but this is like a spin-off version of it. It's not. I feel like he's seen Persona 5, seen Logan's high-scoring game, then gone, oh, that's got to be scoring high. But it's basically a hack and slash version of it.
Okay, so a bit like the Zelda Chronicles or whatever.
Yes, not
Zelda.
Not too dissimilar to what Hyrule Warriors was. Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors. Sorry, yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, no. Why not? Just because I don't know it, I'm not going to bag it. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
Biff, you haven't even heard of that, have you?
No. And if you come at Piper, then probably shit data. So just remember that.
Oh god, if he starts saying data,
I know.
Substitutions.
It's that belt, I think. Biff, you're going to get the chance to condemn someone to the last pick, so choose wisely here. Parky and Adcock, poor boys, left to the fucking back of the bins. Which one are you going to choose, and which person are you going to chuck over the fence and say you were the least wanted person for 2021?
Well, I feel like I was doing it, but after last year, there was some sort of meltdown, so I'm going to pick Parky. Because Adcock just went AWOL, and he had like, how many games that didn't come out or something?
Yeah, he's made a real hash of his team, basically.
There was a point where his subs had more points than his main games.
Yes. So you've gone for Parky then. You've just been poor Adcock and gone, look, you've let yourself down last year.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Sorry to condemn him. He'll probably win it, but...
Well, that might be what he needs at the end of the day. And just updating the list as we speak. Now, he has given you...
Oh, Parky.
No. He's given you Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Oh, big win.
Yeah.
So you were asking about this, squabbling about whether it have a page or not. So you're obviously concerned it might not get an Open Critic page. I think personally it definitely will. I can't see any reason why it won't.
Yeah, I think it will. After looking into it and looking at what gets a page, and it's its own game, isn't it? It's just free. The free game's remastered in 4K, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. And I think they're tweaking the first one. We don't really know how much work they're doing, but it's a new package. We saw, I think, Super Mario 3D All Stars come out last year. That was Mario Sunshine, Super Mario 3D, and that bloody good one. I always forget the name of it on the Wii. That was a similar sort of deal. 3 games packaged into one. That had its own Open Critic score. So
good. If that gets a score, that's a good pick. So I'm glad I picked Parky.
Originally as well, there was some controversy over like Mass Effect 3's ending, and then they've done a patch. But if they expand that further as well, that could be a really high scoring one. So
yes,
bit of a large window of success. But yes, I'm jealous of that one.
Right, we go back to Biff's team. Oh no, we don't. We've got a Hall. Sorry, Adcock's got to give you his game, not Hall. Chappers, you stuck with Adcock. I mean, you've been in this position that Adcock's in. Any words of advice, or are you going to put an arm around his shoulder now and tell him that all can be well in 12 months if he plays his cards right?
Yeah, I mean, he had a stinker last year, but welcome aboard. It's tough when you go 6th anyway, because like what we're going to be getting his like 8th, 9th, and potentially like 20th game, right? So
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, he kind of goes off the beaten track with it, so we actually could be getting some good games from that part of the list.
That's very true. That's very true indeed. So we go back to you, Mr. Biff. Adkins.
No, wait, what did Adcock get him?
Sorry, what is wrong with me today? I've had too many beers. I started to...
Pissed up.
Braid Anniversary Edition.
That silence isn't good.
I'm excited.
No good?
I have no idea what it is, so I'm going to say that's awesome.
To be fair, Braid is an old game, and they're doing a remastered version of it. Now, Braid was like one of the... Back in the day, like one of the first indie hits, along with like Fez and probably Super Meat Boy, actually, ironically enough. I know we talk about that game a lot. And he's given you that, so I think that's actually going to be pretty good. I can't see how they can fuck that up, to be honest. It'll be in 4K, it'll run at 120 hertz, it'll have all the bells and whistles. So if that eases your fears, then that's what I'm here for.
We're locked in, mate. We go with what we're given now and figure out after that. So
absolutely. Back to you, Biff. Adkins slots you in for your next game. It'll be Halo Infinite.
Okay, that's not bad. That's a pretty good game. I'm happy with that.
You sure?
Just hope it scores well, because I've looked at a couple of the newer ones. They didn't score as well as what you'd think, but I think it should come out this year, shouldn't it? Hopefully. Well,
they delayed it once. It's supposed to launch with the Series X, and then they went, this is shit, basically.
Oh, fuck. Well, I reckon that'll come. Well, I'm keeping my eyes peeled. I mean, E3, if that doesn't, if nothing gets said about it then, that'll be gone, but I think that'll come out.
Yeah, there's a good chance. Chappers, you have got Mr. Hall next. He has given you the Neo collection. So this is Neo 1 and 2 combined in a PS5 remaster jobby. Should be launching in February. So I don't think you have a chance to sub it out if you don't want it.
I think that'll be a solid score, actually.
Yeah.
I think I had Neo 2 last year, which was like maybe a mid-80s. So, yeah, pretty happy with that. If it gets its own page.
Yeah, it should do. I think these packages normally do. Any concerns about losing Halo? Or was that, again, not on your list?
It was on my list, but again, lower down. I've never really been a Halo fan, so...
No. Biff, you've never heard of Neo, have you?
No, I know Chappers had it last year. I remember seeing it, but I've never heard of it, no.
Fair enough. Next for you, Biff, is Logan. He's given you Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury.
Whew. Champ Manager, and a rewrapped 3D Mario.
Yes.
Will that get its own page? Because I looked at that
page. It'll be like 60 or something.
Oh, fucking hell.
I mean, it might get the Nintendo boost.
Yeah, but I think that's dead and buried now, the old Nintendo boost, isn't it?
You think it's a myth, do you?
Getting a bit bored of the repackage, aren't they?
It's not. Yeah, it doesn't help. It depends how much work they put into it, because the original, if we look at the original Super Mario 3D World, just very quickly for an original score, this was in 2013, so hold your horses when you hear this. Got a 94.
A lot's changed in 7 years.
Yeah, it has indeed. You're right. You're right. That was a sort of peak Wii U era, so you're right. I mean, it could come out and be another stinker, but Chappers, no Super Mario for you. I guess no worry either. You ain't bothered.
No, I think people were fed up with the Wii U with no games coming out, and then they said it'd be different with the Switch, and they just keep repackaging all the old games still, and not actually bringing anything new out, don't they? So it seems to be the Nintendo path at the minute.
So you've got Paper next. He has given you a nice early release. Again, you can't get out of this one. Hitman 3.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Nice.
It's on my list.
Good. That's always good when you get stuff on your list. And
I think that's going to be a big change as well, that one. I was reading up on it a bit, and like the crowds can be upwards of 100 people, and like they're all meant to be uniquely AI programmed and stuff. So yeah, it could be quite an interesting one.
Personally, I love this Hitman franchise since they brought it back. I've loved 1 and 2. I'm getting number 3, so personally, it's a good pick for me. I think you're not going to get a stinker out of it, but whether it's going to get to the upper echelons, we will have to see. Biff, you saved Parky from the embarrassment. He's rewarded you with Gran Turismo 7.
Oh.
They don't review well, though, do they?
Well, if they come out, they kind of do. Gran Turismo Sport has been a massive esports game as well. But the thing, Gran Turismo are the absolute king of delays. I think one of them never even turned up, and they just kind of released GT Sport, which was like a smaller version of it. So if it does turn up, I think you're good. But it's the if, man.
Yeah,
oh, fuck.
You're not happy with that then. So Parky's, it sounds like you're saying Parky's let you down.
Well, I've got a feeling I'm 10 points down already.
It's a real swing for the fence, that one, though. If it lands, I do think it will be big, but
I don't know.
Be a sub opportunity.
I think it only got 77 on OpenCritic.
Yeah, the thing with Sport though was, and Chappers will know this better than me, sort of being in that racing world, is Sport was a bit of a stripped back version of the Grand. It wasn't like a full mainline entry. I think people were expecting GT7 that sort of level, but as far as I know, and Chappers, you can correct me, it was a bit slipped back and aimed more at an esports audience rather than sort of like the traditional GTs that have been coming out before it.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of seen as here's a little taster before the next one. And in fact, I think if it was re-reviewed now, it would be a hell of a lot better. I think they've just kept adding to it, and say the esports part of it's really big, but it wasn't what was promised, because they always have these delay issues with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see how the year pans out for that one. Chappers, you've got Adcock. It's the game that we saw on lists last year. Didn't come to fruition, so who knows whether it'll arrive this year. But it is Axiom Verge 2. Yeah,
nice. Say if it comes out, that'd be a big one, right?
Yeah, should be, if you're basing it off the original Axiom Verge. Biff, I think you may have even had that on your team at some point, or someone definitely did. Any interest in Axiom Verge 2? I mean, you can't have it now, but...
No, it wasn't on my list, to be honest, no.
Wrote it off. If it misses the year before, he writes them off. He says, you've let me down once.
I think that's such a good idea. I mean, Skull and Bones, man. I mean, seriously. I've had that 3 years in a row, and that's subbed out every time. It's vaporware. It's absolute garbage.
That's Biff's next pick, I reckon. He's like, right, scrub that off the list.
I shouldn't have given that away, should I?
Well, as we stand, Chappers, you've got God of War Ragnarok, Disco Elysium The Final Cut, Persona 5 Strikers, Braid Anniversary Edition, the Neo Collection, Hitman 3, and Axiom Verge 2. How are you feeling with that team? Any early candidates for transfers you're earmarking, or are you just gonna you interested in liking what you're seeing there?
No, I think the only one that kind of doesn't give us flexibility is Hitman, but I think that will score well, and all the other ones are, play it out as the year goes by. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that.
Sweet. Biff, you've got Horizon Forbidden West, Resident Evil Village, Football Manager 2022, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Halo Infinite, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and Gran Turismo 7. How you feeling?
I think Chappers has got the better list so far. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Mind games?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think there could be a couple of subs in there, but like Chappers just said, we'll see how the year plays out.
Yep. Right, so we go back to you, Chappers. You've got the first, or the next pick, I guess, after Biff's team just laid waste to the games of 2021. What's going to be your game number 8 in your roster?
Yeah, I can't believe it's fallen this far down, which is making me just fear that I've missed a news release today or something. But I'm going to go for Ratchet and Clank Rifts Apart.
Yeah, like it's insane, really. That's not on people's list. Huge hype over that one. Another Sony exclusive that's penciled in for 2021. Lots of big issue being made about the SSD and what the game's going to be showcasing for that. A true kind of PS5 game is how it's being touted. Biff, Ratchet and Clank, I feel like that was somewhere on your list, and that you just clenched your teeth a little bit there as you saw that slip away through your fingers.
Yeah, annoyed me, especially because I've got fucking Bowser's Revenge and things like that, and that's been Champ Manager, and that's been let slide. I don't know how people haven't. If you Google games in 2021, that would probably be one of the top 5 games, and it's managed to get to fucking this far down the list. So
yeah, it's no higher than 4 on anyone else's list.
Really,
that's the highest it is.
Because it's like a guaranteed game coming out.
Yep.
Fucking hell.
Well, you've got a chance to make up for it. You've got your 8th game. What's that going to be?
I'm going to go for Monster Hunter Rise.
Cool. The Switch. I think it's only coming to Switch. Anyway, it's coming on
exclusive.
The exclusive Monster Hunter game. And what's that based on? Is that based on Monster Hunter World's good reception that came out on the main consoles, or? Yeah,
basically, it's got quite good reviews, and there's not really a lot out for Switch. So I thought a game like that for Switch might score well. So that's why I've gone for it.
Nice. I quite like that pick, but not saying it's going to score well. Chappers, Monster Hunter Rise, anywhere to be seen on your list?
No, it's not. But
you hate the Switch, didn't you? You hate Nintendo.
I love my Switch. The kids love it. No, I mean, it's not really. I didn't really like the first one, in all honesty. And again, I kind of play what I know as such. So
yeah.
But if it's built from the ground up, it could be a big win on the Switch.
Well, it's spent so long on Nintendo consoles anyway that you'd think that they're going to do a good job of it. I'm looking forward to see, because I liked Monster Hunter World, but it was it's very involved. You've got to really work at the game to get to a decent level. I'm just wondering whether they'll just tweak it slightly with Rise and make it a bit more palatable to like a rookie like me. So I'm definitely looking forward to see how that scores, because it could be a sensation. It could be the next Animal Crossing. Who knows? Sometimes the Switch has that effect on certain games. Chappers, your 9th game. You've got to fill 2 more games, so this is going to be your penultimate game on the list.
Yeah, it's difficult now, isn't it? Because you're just worrying the games that you've got on there that you think are good. You're like, well, why has no one else picked it? You just got I've just got constant fear now that I'm going to pick something that has already been slated for 2022 or something. But I'm going to go for one that's definitely going to come out in the first quarter, just to get the points on the board, and that's a pick I had from last year of Outriders.
Right, yeah. I thought Outriders was a shoo-in for 2020. I'm guessing late on something went wrong and it ended up getting pushed to 2021.
They didn't have a release date for a very long time, and they delayed it into the first quarter quite late on.
Yeah.
I'd already subbed it out. But it looks great. Like high 80s maybe, if we're lucky. But I just got nervous by it, so yeah, got rid of it.
Yeah, that was a sensible thing to do in 2020, and it could be a sensible decision to have it in your roster for 2021. Biff, Outriders, anywhere to be seen on that list of yours? It's dwindling away?
No, nowhere. Never even heard of it. So,
well, come on then, give it to us. What are you going to choose for number 9?
I'm going to have a little bit of a risky. I'm going to go for Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, boom.
What's risky about this? Is it going to be any good, or just worried about it not coming out, or both?
Well, I don't know. I've got a feeling this might be like Marvel Avengers, where it's
no good.
No, I know, but that's the worry. I don't know if it will come out, but I don't know if it will be like they're just throwing the Hogwarts or Harry Potter fans something shit and they'll all buy it, but it's actually not that good. But yeah. I've seen a lot of videos on it, and it sort of looked quite in depth and quite big. So,
are you sure this is not the nerd in you coming out, like the Harry Potter nerd, and you just want it to be good? So you thought, if I put it on my list, then I'm giving it every chance of positive energy to, you know. I
mean, I'm not a big fan of Harry Potter that much.
I thought you fucking loved them.
No. I think I have seen them all, but after the first one, I lost interest. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it does.
Well, I can't make heads or tail of that decision then. Chappers, Hogwarts Legacy, anywhere on your list?
Do you know what? I freaking hate Harry Potter. but I remember watching the PS5 kind of trailers when they announced the release of that, and for some reason it just stuck in my head. Like, if the animation style and stuff like that is what they stick with, and it's like that grand a game, then yeah, I mean, it's going to be massive. But then also, if it's like The Bully but with, you know, Harry Potter or whatever the Rockstar's game was, then I feel quite safe.
What's going to be your 10th and final game then, Chappers?
Oh man, do you know what? I've got so many left on my list. It's unreal.
I always like to ask people this. Like, on your list, do you have them in order, and then as it goes through, you just second guess yourself? Because
to a certain extent, yeah. Because I'm like, why hasn't that come out already? Because like, I've got Final Fantasy on here, and I'm like, is that just a dream? And then like, I won't say anymore, right? Biff's still got one more piff, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I can go through a couple more afterwards. There's some,
we will. Yeah,
a lot of them are from that PS5 thing, man. Because I've got to admit that blew me away when was it November or whatever when they released that. I remember sitting there watching that, and there's so many games on there that just looked incredible. So
yeah. It's tough. This is now tough business, this last one, because not only are there 18 games gone, there's probably still more that you're thinking, I want that, and that in there, but you ain't got the choice to do it.
No. But for me final, I'm going to tip my hat to Adcock, and I'm going to go for the medium.
Oh, interesting. That's another early one. That'll be out in the next week or two.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. Kind of follows, or it feels like it kind of follows behind like the new technology use that kind of Ratchet and Clank's using, where you kind of got almost two environments running parallel and you can switch between them and stuff like that. So I kind of feel like that's a kind of proper next gen.
Yes, I think that's the hope.
Game. So I'll take a punt with that. I'm swinging for the fences now with the lower picks.
Excellent. Biff, the medium, anywhere to be seen? Any hearing of it, or because it's on Xbox you binned it?
Yeah, no, I've never heard of that. No, it wasn't on my list.
Interesting. Well, what is on your list? What's gonna complete your 10-game roster and give you what you hope to be the winning formula?
I'm going to go for a game. I've never played it, never even heard of it until today, but I looked at the first one and it reviewed quite well. I think it's a Switch exclusive called Bravely Default 2.
Right, yeah. I can't say I've ever played it, but I have seen... You talk about anime, Japanese role-playing bumps. Yeah. That's a real candidate for that. Probably something that none of us will ever play because we don't tend to fall into that category of games, but... Definitely people that like those games speak highly of Bravely Default. First one got an 84, which isn't a terrible score to be getting at 10th pick. It's been 6 years, so every chance that, you know, you could be walking away with a half-decent last-scoring game there.
I think it has actually got a date as well.
26th of Feb.
Oh, Feb, there you go, yeah, so it's actually...
No transferring out.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Chappers, anywhere on the list? I mean, I don't think that's a game you've played before or a series you got involved with, so I'm assuming you probably kept away from it.
It's one that pops up in the Google searches, but didn't have enough time to research it fully. So I'm aware it's on the radar as such. But no, nice pick.
Excellent. Right, that's it. The draft is done. for you guys for the championship game. We're going to run through it and then talk about some games that aren't on the list that have narrowly missed out. Chappers, you've got God of War Ragnarok, Disco Elysium, the Final Cut, Persona 5 Strikers, Braid Anniversary Edition, the Neo Collection, Hitman 3, Axiom Verge 2, Ratchet & Clank A Rift Apart, Outriders, and The Medium. How are you feeling? First experience of this draft under pressure. Relieved, I'd imagine, to get it out of the way with, but I mean, are you happy with what's been produced by you and the team members?
Yeah, I'm over the moon with that, actually. Like, if all of that, all the cards fall right, I mean, that's like a high 80s average, in my opinion. So, there's a couple I'd heard of, but we'll go with that. And I say, if Disco Elysium's good for console and that comes out on its own page, then I mean, that's an absolute hit instantly. So, yeah. Anything
on Biff's team that you would fancy having that you haven't got?
Well, again, if it comes out, Gran Turismo, purely because, again, I like going for my interests and stuff.
Mass Effect?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was 2 on my list. I was such a fan of the original trilogy.
Yes, great.
And obviously being close to the Hall brothers, that, as soon as we saw that was coming out, there was, we played through it about the same time, and there was certain kind of twists in the storyline where it was like, oh my God, have you got to this bit yet? I mean, it was honestly one of the best trilogy of games I've played. So,
yes.
I'd probably say that and Gran Turismo, and obviously Football Manager 2022.
Of course, that's the most coveted game that you could be after. But if you've got Horizon Forbidden West, Resident Evil 8 Village, Footy Manager 2022, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Halo Infinite, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Gran Turismo 7, Monster Hunter Rise, Hogwarts Legacy, and Bravely Default 2. How are you feeling? How does that compare to your team last year? Do you think these guys have got the beatings of that last team, or are you going to fall behind early doors?
I mean, if I'm competing against myself last year, I think I'm going to fall short. I ain't going to top that score. But
big bollocks.
I'm fairly happy. I'm annoyed I've picked Hogwarts Legacy. I'm actually annoyed at myself.
You done that last year. You picked Super Meat Boy Forever, and then
yeah, I know. And then, but I clawed it back.
Can we let him trade it now for 5 points?
Yeah.
Gets a 95.
Yeah, that would be a real sickener. Go on.
Yeah. I'm just worried about a few games not coming out, but I think that will be the case for both teams. We'll have to sort of wait.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's part of the game now. Hall always moans that there shouldn't be substitutions, but you got to keep it close, and that's one.
I think it'd be over by the first quarter because you'd only take games that were scheduled to be out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's too much guesswork involved. Anything on Chappers' side that you'd like? I mean, the obvious one's God of War because fan of the game and a big hitter. But anything else on there that you saw drift away and you thought, bloody hell, now I've got Hogwarts instead? Right.
I'm annoyed Hitman 3 got picked. I mean, that was Piper's second pick, wasn't it?
Mm.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so there's a lot of there's probably 5 games before that, and I've had 5 games and not got Hitman 3. I think that was my 3rd pick on my list, so I'm a bit gutted about that because I reckon that could do all right. And then again, points on the board early doors
puts the pressure on, doesn't it? Once the scores start totally. Although last year Paper front loaded his whole team, you didn't get the lead till the last quarter, and then once you did, it was a squash jobby.
Yeah, but he's front loaded and they were like 70s and 72s. Do you know what I mean?
They were shit, basically, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's front loaded it with
to write home about. Yeah,
fair enough. So, Chappers, what have you got on your list that hasn't been picked and that you didn't get round to putting on? Any sort of regrets or missing ones on there?
So I've got Humankind really high up. That was one I had last year again. And again, just another personal interest jobby. It seems really interesting. I'm super surprised Far Cry 6 didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've got Deathloop as well. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I think a few of them, like Gotham Knights, if that comes out, will be massive. It's just, again, that kind of big question of whether stuff's going to come out.
Could be a big blowout E3 or something, and they say November, and people start scrambling in the transfer window after it.
Yeah, and then Vampire the Masquerade, kind of another one by the Crusader Kings guys. Looks really good.
Yeah.
I think this wouldn't score terribly, but it's just I'm looking forward to it. It's Blood Bowl 3. And then like Hellblade 2, and then there's like they kind of announced the Lord of the Rings Gollum one, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't think will be this year, but will be as long as it's not like another Shadow of Mordor. You know, the story idea sounds pretty cool, but yeah,
Nice.
Ghostwire Tokyo, another one.
Yeah.
Tons. It's just again whether any of it comes out.
No. There we go. Biff, anything missing on your that you didn't get to put on your list, or that's sitting there that you thought I could have put that in?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the Far Cry 6 was the one I should have put in for Hogwarts Legacy. That was high on my list. FIFA 22, I thought I could chuck that in for a guaranteed sort of 75, 78.
Yeah.
Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, but I don't know how well that'll do. I had Gotham Knights. Also found a game called Back for Blood. I've never,
Yes.
and that's like a Left 4 Dead sort of sequel. I didn't know how well that'd do, so it was sort of down my list as a last resort. But
I was going to ask Chappers about that because we played Left 4 Dead 2 about 2 years ago. Had a little session on it, and Back for Blood is pretty much a new version of that that's coming out from Turtle Rock Studios. I'm surprised that didn't get a sniff for you.
Yeah, it's number 6 on my list, but
Okay.
I also was thinking World War Z was going to be that type of game, and it absolutely bombed.
Yes.
So yeah, it's just whether like you get your 4 guys that are still playing Left 4 Dead 2 with mods. Are the 4 guys that review it, then yeah, you're great. But if you're a bit like Skater XL, right? Like if you'd have just reviewed the PC version with all the mods and all the other stuff you can do,
Yeah.
it's a high 80s. You can't do any of that stuff on a 4-man's console, and everyone's like, well, I've got 3 maps.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it was just too many variables for me.
Funny you should say that the PC version of Skater XL has scored higher, because that's basically what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. You got all the PC scores, it got 91, and then when all the console scores rolled in, it dropped down by 12 points.
I need to turn my Xbox One on every now and again to remember, how the common people play.
Right, so we've got to do the team names. This is people's favourite bit, I think. As challenger, Chappers, I'll let you go first and name your team.
Okay, I'm going to go for Weather Wax's Warriors.
Weather Wax's Warriors.
Yeah.
Any insight to what that is, or?
Not really, mate. I literally had about 30 seconds to think about it, so I thought, I picked up a book and it was like the 5th word in, so and I like Warriors, so yeah we've got that. I was going to go for Biff's bosses, but I didn't get Parky, so it kind of threw me.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Biff, what have you gone for? You was Team Balboa last year. What are you going for this year?
I don't know if to stick with the same name. Or is that not allowed?
You can do that, but just think what happened to Rocky Balboa when he was champion.
Yeah, he got fucking plastered and he talks like a...
Just call it Adrian.
Yeah, go on then. We'll call it Adrian. Team Adrian.
Team Adrian.
That's how much I'm in his head. I'm naming his team for him.
Well, the thing is, that's a better team name than you come up with, Chappers, so I don't know if
I know, I've instantly regretted it, in all honesty.
Here we are then. I'm going to reveal the Grand Prix draft. Who's got what? Who's going to win? Well, we don't know who's going to win yet, but here are the 60 games across the 6 rosters that are going to start competing for the 2021 season. Adkins was first, so Mr. Adkins got Resident Evil 8 Village, Disco Elysium The Final Cut, Halo Infinite, Back 4 Blood, Far Cry 6, Gotham Knights, Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, Shadow Warrior 3, Scorn, and the next mainline Call of Duty game for 2021. Hall was next. He got God of War Ragnarok, or whatever that's going to be called, the Neo Collection, Nier Replicant version, blah, 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 Prince of Persia Remake, Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course, the Stanley Parable Ultra, Persona 6, Origami 2, Pokemon Snap, Phasmophobia. It's in early access at the moment. No score on OpenCritic. Parky, Mass Effect Legendary Edition, Gran Turismo 7, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Skull and Bones, Final Fantasy 16, Deathloop, Monster Hunter Rise, Oddworld Soulstorm, Rainbow Six Quarantine, The Invincible, Logan, Horizon Forbidden West, Footy Manager 2022, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Kenna Bridge of Spirits, Returnal, Outriders, The Medium, Battlefield 6, Lord of the Rings Gollum, Psychonauts 2. Adcock, Braid Anniversary Edition, Axiom Verge 2, No More Heroes 3, Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, or whatever that's going to be called, Fable, Pro Evolution Soccer 2022, Hollow Knight Silksong, Breath of the Wild 2, 12 minutes. Paper, Persona 5 Strikers, Hitman 3, Hogwarts Legacy, Ghostwire Tokyo, which he put twice on his list. I don't know why he did that. Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin, Guild Wars 2, Guild Wars 2, End of Dragons, one game, Little Nightmares 2, Stray, Bus Simulator 21, Bravely Default 2. Sorry, I had to have a chuckle at Bus Simulator 21 making it into his list. So yeah, they're the 60 games, they're the 6 rosters, and at the moment it's anyone's game. Chaplin has said, or Chappers has said, Logan for the win, I think, and Biff has commented saying he thinks Parky's is the best. So what do you think? Who's going to win the Grand Prix? Is it going to be Adkins? Is it going to be Hall? Is it going to be Parky? Is it going to be Logan? Is it going to be Adcock? Or is it going to be Paper? And who is going to win the Fantasy Gaming League Championship? Will it be the defending champion Biff? Or will newcomer Chappers, the webmaster himself, upset the odds once again? We'll find out. 2021 is going to be an interesting year, if nothing else. You guys stay tuned. Thanks very much for your time. And ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.